one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
Discover Crypto family, 4 p.m. Eastern time stream. Here we are again with the market doing its thing to shake people up and down and all around, chopping out the tourists. So my question for you right now, are you a tourist or have you been a victim of your own tourism crime in this market? Because we saw exactly what I outlined yesterday morning about what I was expecting to see around that FOMC, the Fed rate cut, how the markets would react. And in fact, Bitcoin is in main focus. And I hope that each and every single one of you, Bitcoin is in main focus for you. Even if you're in altcoins, even if you're in memes, it should all be a function of how do I trade this other asset to capitalize on adding to my Bitcoin positions. Well, let's dive in real quick and look at exactly what we're seeing, because this is what I'm talking about. We had the rate cut yesterday. This is that line. This is when the rate cut happened. And look at what happened into this. Right as this happened, a little sell-off into the rate cut. We got the rate cut. Oh, pump, trap people long, trap people short. The tourist trap right here. So are you a tourist? Were you a tourist? Have you been a tourist? Because what did you see right after that? Zoom out just a little bit. You see that? Could we come right back into regularly scheduled programming? And this was signaled also as it was going to happen, because this just broke down. This breakdown, pump up, deeper breakdown, pump back up, smaller breakdown. What does this resemble? Inverse head and shoulders. So even here on the 15-minute, on the 3-minute, on the 1-minute, whatever you want to look at in this smaller time frame, this was signaling that move back to the upside after we shook out the people that were not sure about what the press conference or tonality was going to be, and then what it ultimately ended up being. It doesn't freaking matter. If you're in Bitcoin, it is outside of all this nonsense in the traditional system. But there's so many people in this market that are trading on every word that Jerome Powell says, or whether or not big banks are adopting and integrating, and what's the stable coin is going to be. All of this is going to be great and impactful for the altcoin market. But at the end of the day, Bitcoin is going to be the ultimate capture mechanism for what the terrible monetary policy that we see destroying the valuation of the dollar, devaluing every minute that you've worked in your past. Basically, every time they print a dollar, they say those hours you worked are worth less. That's what they're saying. Not only do you have decreased buying power, that also means that every dollar you saved is now, intrinsically worth less value. And this gets compounded over time, and to the point where you look back 4 or 5 years and you realize the dollars you saved 5, 6 years ago to now also has 20, 30% less buying power than it did even then. These things are accelerating, and this is at a time where Bitcoin and the crypto market is not only on the horizon, it's getting deployed. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the family. Everybody, if this is your first time here, it's not going to be your last time. My name is Kelly Kellum. Welcome to the show. Here with the Discover Crypto, here with BitLab Academy, here with the family. Shout out to everybody on X, on YouTube, whether you're watching on Discover Crypto, on BitLab Academy, on X, on Pump Fun. We are here to break down what we're really seeing in these charts and what it means. Now, I get accused, Kelly, you talking all these Bitcoin spaces, but you're a shit coiner. You know what? I am here to educate, and I'm also here to participate in as much of the different sectors of this market as the new world is unfolding right in front of us. And part of that's going to be the new plumbing system, the new infrastructure layers the entire world is moving on to. Michael Saylor himself even spoke about this at the unconference yesterday, that it's not just Bitcoin. Now, it's just Bitcoin if you're looking super long term, yes, but it's not just Bitcoin when you consider that everything that we're doing in terms of business, commerce, transactions, trade, and storage of wealth, all these things are going to be impacted by the broader digital asset ecosystem and economy. And we've seen a major shift over the last year and a half. I mean, let's call it what it is, since January 2009. But really, in this last year and a half, we have seen an absolute hockey stick to the upside in terms of the rate of change of what the landscape looks like for the digital asset ecosystem. So things like Ethereum and Chainlink and Avalanche, which is moving incredibly today. Morpho, which just got a great nod from Coinbase. Talk about DeFi and lending, going through the base ecosystem. What's going on how many different major players are involved with Coinbase, like some of the top ETFs. The custodian is Coinbase, and a lot of the big money players coming in from Wall Street and corporate, the corporate Wall Street, getting involved in basically in this digital economy. We've got to take a look. Now, everything I'm doing that is not in Bitcoin is a function of how can I get more Bitcoin. My trades on Chainlink, now, will those ultimately end up turning into ultra long term? We'll have to see. I'm very adaptable in the altcoin ecosystem as to what my plan of attack is over time, and it can be adjusted. However, as it stands right now, Bitcoin is the asset that we need to make sure we're focused on. That doesn't mean that we don't get down here into the trenches and talk about some other things like what's going on, as we saw right here with Grayscale getting the nod from SEC. And this impacts the broader altcoin ecosystem. Excuse me. And that is this. I mean, what is it? The Grayscale's digital asset large cap fund, GDLC, just got the green light. The ETF includes a basket of top assets: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, ADA, Cardano. So all of you out there, if you are a Bitcoin maxi and you do not see the forest for the trees and understand that what you're saying about many of these altcoins, and I will say this with one caveat, 99% of altcoins out there are absolute dog shit trash, and that's just a matter of fact. The point here with the altcoin ecosystem is you have to realize that you are essentially an individual venture capitalist trying to identify, if you're holding a position, trying to identify which one of these is going to get the deepest level of integration and utilization and adoption and users and transactions, and for what period of time. And if that's not the case, some of you are just out here, and this is okay too. Everybody's different. Maybe you are just on the 1 hour chart, 15-minute chart, and the fundamentals don't mean anything to you. That's okay too if that's your plan. But do not convolute the idea that if somebody is showing you an altcoin chart, that doesn't mean they don't think Bitcoin is absolutely fantastic. It all depends on the intention. It all depends on the strategy and the plan that you're looking to employ. And furthermore, if you are dancing in the altcoin ecosystem, and I am dancing all throughout it, make sure that it is a function of how can I capture and store as much wealth as possible. In order to do that, that's back into Bitcoin. I got a cough again. Excuse me. Tickle in my throat. Now, we're going to talk about altcoins a bit today. I'm so excited about where we are going on this Bitcoin journey and what it means for this ecosystem. We are seeing the world open up, wake up before our eyes as to what is happening, not only in terms of adoption, the corporate treasuries, sovereign bodies getting involved, but just even the general discourse around this asset class is phenomenal. Now, I want to highlight something on this. This is a very small time frame chart, but let's look at it on the 15-minute. On the 50-minute chart, we're sitting up here, at that $117,000 range, and the price action is looking fantastic. What do we see? Not only do we see the small inverse head and shoulders here, which is tends to be something that highlights a potential reversal. At this case, we have gotten the reversal. But what we also see now is this formed a larger cup and handle up here. So at a little bit of an angle, but we got a larger cup and handle up here that targets up to about $121,000. Now, again, some people say never sell your Bitcoin. Some people say, why would you ever transact that? Again, there's some people that are in sub-Saharan Africa. Other people that are in, I almost said Guadalajara. Screw it. Guadalajara, El Salvador, could be Virginia, could be Canada. Everybody has a different impact in terms of what their strategy is, why they're doing it, and how basically how much capital exposure they have in the market and what they can endure. And part of that has to do with your own sensibility and understanding this market. The people that truly understand this market, really understand it. And by that, I mean, you understand that whatever fiat currency you have is going to evaporate over the course of the next 50, 100 years, could be 15, who knows? But we see the trend in fiat currencies, and that means go down. Fiat currencies, what is it? That paper money that you've been using in your country, whatever country you're in, This isn't just the US. This isn't just Turkey. This isn't just Argentina or Venezuela or Bolivia. Name the country that uses a money system that is not just gold. That's essentially fiat currency that is getting devalued by the second. And that's why Bitcoin is such an absolute, amazing opportunity. And when we look at this, and again, I'm going to highlight this. This is where I'm seeing things go. This is how I'm seeing this. But caveat here is this is a near-term thing. This is not where I see the top for Bitcoin. Once you truly understand this asset class, you realize that Bitcoin has no top. People just get so short-sighted. They want to be able to trade out perfectly here at the top, and they want to trade back in at the exact bottom right here. And very few, if anybody in the world, has ever been able to capture the absolute top and the absolute bottom. So you have to make sure that you have your strategy in line in such a way that you take those shots if you want to, but you do that with a portion of your portfolio while you always have a longer term basket that you're always funneling your capital and profits and whatever cash flow into that long-term portfolio. So while we're looking at this, and by near term, when I mean by near term, somewhere between 160,000 on the low side up to somewhere in the mid 300s. I mean by the current mid macro cycle that we're in, whether that is sometime this year or sometime in 2026. It's kind of irrelevant to me. We're tracking this on a daily basis. We're seeing beautiful stair-step patterns here on the way up. And people get frustrated on every stair step. In fact, we've clearly broken out of this. This was at $111,000. If we come back over here and look at this, let's go to the daily. And again, we're going to look at some altcoins here in a few minutes. But let's actually delete these now that we've cleared that up. Delete the rate cut, delete the tourists. Again, you guys got to promise me you're not going to be a tourist because that's how you get trapped. Now, this is that same chart on the 1 day rather than the 3 day. And we're looking at this, and we've got, let's actually look at the 3 day first. We have these beautiful channels that have basically projected out into where we're at right now. This is a multi-year trend line that we've been highlighting day in and day out, but I'm trying to get it through all of our thick heads, mine included. I forget this. I get emotional. I buy FOMO. I sell greed. I do all of these things just like you do, except I've learned to refine my errors over time to make smarter decisions more consistently. And if I am about to make a poor decision, then I try to check in with myself and ask, what's my true goal here? What was the setup to take this action versus am I reacting to something in the market? In this case, we have a multi-year trend line that goes back here to April 2021. And zooming back out on this, and we're going to get to these other charts here in just a few minutes. We just got to look at this. We have to make sure we're staring at the fundamentals. We have a great base layer to understand what's going on. We've rejected through here. We've rejected through here. We found support. Now zooming in on that support level. Look at that. Found support. We lost it. Bear trap. Tested previous range high. Bounce up, and we're only now getting our footing for the potential next move to the upside, except it comes with the caveat. Look, we lost it again, but now broke back up, found support on that ETF washout, now moving back to the upside, but we're right inside the zone of interest of where there's been a lot of liquidity. Having price action here, rejection in the middle, bounce at the bottom. Rejection at the bottom, bounce at the bottom, rejection at the top. Bounce at the top, rejection right in the middle, and then all of this chop zone all the way through here. There's a lot of liquidity interest that goes through this exact zone that we're in the middle of right now. Now, what else do we see? We also see that we're at a very key fib level. If you measure from the top here to the bottom, notice where this is at the exact moment right now as we're talking, $117,500. And where is the price action? It has moved its way up, bounced all the way. And look at this, right at this 0.618. It's a golden Fibonacci. If you don't know what that is, go onto Google, use your brain, use your ambitious curiosity. If you don't understand something, don't let it just pass you by. If I don't explain it or if somebody else does it, go to Google or go to Grok and say, what the hell is this thing? Let's all learn. Let's force ourselves to take our education and our ability to understand what's going on into our own hands. We have to be the stewards of our knowledge. Every one of us. Do not let knowledge pass you by just because I don't get it, so I'm clicking off. No, get it, because this number right here, this 0.618, is a rule, a mathematical rule of nature. This is not something somebody developed for Bitcoin and some altcoins and degen trades. No, this is a rule of nature and how trees organize the branches on their limbs, how flowers organize their petals, how, I mean, it's the golden ratio. Google that. How does the golden ratio react to markets? Well, how the hell does this relevant on price action charts? Or what are price action? It is a map of this human psychology, or the psychology of the market. Humans are in nature. So it's a map of nature of how people are reacting in markets. And this is an area that very regularly you can see price action push up into and not yet actually be fully bullish. This is bullish on the 8-hour, 4-hour time frame in the near term. But in order to really catalyze that next leg to the upside, and I think we will, the question is, will it be in the immediate future, in the next few days, or sometime next week or the week after? We need to clear this golden pocket and break out from here. Why is this? Because you've seen this time and time again. Even right here, previous all-time high back here in 2021, and then we had the secondary all-time high here. And just notice here on that bounce up, where did it reject? Right at the golden pocket. See that 0.618? Rejected, found support at the 382, and then moved to the upside. And this is something that you'll see not just in that case. You'll see this over and over and over again, finding a bullish move up into it. You get a rejection, which, if you understand this, doesn't scare you. You want to see the land. You want to see the framework for your trend fundamentally change before you switch your bullish or bearish bias based on data. And in this case, this is feeling good. It's looking good, but it's still looking like it hasn't completed the setup to give us indication of that next leg. Now, I'm not saying that next leg's not going to happen. I'm just saying let's be a little bit cautious here. If this does reject, it wouldn't break my heart. In fact, I'd be thankful that I could potentially get another opportunity if this comes down and tests right here, which it just bounced off twice. So what I would think is if this loses, it comes right down into this zone, the 115.7 to 116.2, this region right in here, which would be a beautiful bounce. It'd be still within this channel. It would be a necessary rejection on the golden pocket here, find support, and then you make the move, find support and continuation. But we're going to have to see how this plays out, because things are just getting overwhelmingly drowning in the bullish embrace of how this landscape has shifted so dramatically in favor and support, with wind at all of our backs about where this market can go. So while I am looking at this saying there is a potential, I'm not saying it will, we're at the golden pocket, there is a potential we have a little bit of trouble here. If we're able to ultimately slice through this without having any pullback, then we may be getting an even stronger bullish stance. But now what I just did was look at this in price action, horizontal levels, in addition to the golden pocket. But what have we not done? We have not looked at the data that corresponds with the price. So let's double click on the chart. I'm going to right click first, turn off my tools, double click on the chart. What does the data say? What's the money doing? Where are we at on the strength? So on and so forth. Well, as we pushed up, we've seen money flow come up, and it's had a little washout here, but still remained very bullish in terms of money coming into the market, staying in the market. RSI also came down, reset right here, option V. You see this reset, but where did it bounce? This is very important. I talk about this a lot. I'm going to talk about it again. On the 4-hour chart, this came down and found support above the 50 line. It doesn't mean the trend is entirely over if this loses this. The point here is on the reset of the RSI, it still bounced and maintained above in the strength control half, which is the upper half of this RSI, above the 50% strength zone on the RSI. Now we pushed up, came back, found support again. And what this is looking like, it's looking like the bulls they're getting the right memo here about, okay, we are starting to take control, but nobody wants to be the first one across the line. So you start seeing this oscillation that starts coming up as bulls enter the fray. Now, remember, this is for very near term, very short term time frame we're looking at. When we look at the chart on any sort of midterm time frame, this is so overwhelmingly bullish. We're back above a multi-year trend line. We're back above some other key things. I don't know if I have it saved here. We're back up. Let me actually pull this up. I don't think I saved it. Caleb, remember we had Caleb Franzen on just the other day, and we talked about this level. And again, for those of you waiting on the altcoins, for those of you waiting on the meme coins, you have to realize if you're not paying attention to what's going on in Bitcoin, you're doing it wrong, 100%. Now, if you're trading on a 1 minute chart, only in and out, then I don't know why you're following any streams anyway, because you're not looking for strategy. You're just trying to cheat in and cheat out of tokens, hoping that you can mass extract on somebody else. That's what you're doing. When you're jumping into a pump and dump on meme coins, you are, especially the Solana things that just go in and just, I mean, what strategy is there other than I hope I can beat the other guy before he gets in and I can exit before he does? That's not what this channel is about. That's not what we're about. We're about, let's build some long-term legacy in our portfolios, and also hopefully to affect the lives of our friends, family, and people around us into the future. Because when we talk about that signal that Caleb Franzen highlighted, where the heck is it at? Boom, boom, boom. Let me just look right here. He pointed out that the VWAP, and this is basically the volume weighted average price, but it's anchored, the anchored VWAP right here. And once we broke above this back here, this was in late April. Remember the breakdown where the Bitcoin bull market was over, and it was over for all. And then what happened when everybody gave up? Boom, pushed up above the anchored VWAP, found support, had a little bit of consolidation, and then boom. Well, in this case, I'm not going to say that is going to happen, but as we see it right now, this is a very strong signal that is setting up that we have broken down below this. We pushed back. Look at this, rejected first, now shot right through it and have found support. If this maintains support above this 115, 160 zone, which is the same level I just talked about. So not only do we have a pattern, let's look at this. Double click on the chart, minimize the indicators. What was that level that we literally just talked about it? This zone right here at 115, 115.3, 115.2 up to about 116.1. Like this zone right here would not only be bouncing, basically finding support on this rising level of support, it would also be finding support on this multi-year rising level of support right here with the intersection. I love when you have two different trend lines from an older pattern and a newer pattern, basically this one that formed recently, and then this multi-year green trend line that we see here, that the price action has been interacting with a lot, both rejections and support. They're intersecting right here. So I'm not, it's not necessarily a target that it has to go there, but if the price starts moving down, I've got a very clear area that I'm going to be watching. So let's just pay attention to that. But now let's get into this other stuff, because we talked about the Grayscale digital large cap ETF, and it's not just Grayscale. We got massive, massive news. We got SEC approval for absolute rocket ship potential in the altcoin ecosystem. Now, do you like these? Do you hate these? Are you a Bitcoin maxi? Do you only like meme coins? Let me know in the comments what your strategy is. Are you Bitcoin only? Are you top cap only? Are you, hey, I'm a degen, I got a little bit of everything? Or are you just a trencher, only degen plays in the meme market? Hey, everybody's doing different stuff, right? So whatever you're doing, I just hope at some point, if you are on the full degen side, that you wake up and realize, do that if you want to, but you do that with the smaller allocation and rotate those big profits that apparently you're really making if you're staying in that sector and rotating those profits into Bitcoin. But my crypto space UK says meme, baby. Hey, it's fun. You know, I'm a top cap guy in Bitcoin and a couple top caps. I do have a meme or two, and I do it for the culture, baby. I want to be involved in the crypto culture, but I also am looking at the amount of capital that's flowing in different sectors of this market. So I like to get a little bit of exposure and trade in the different sectors of this market as well. Of course, we're doing content here on the Discover Crypto streams 3 times a day. We've got thousands of videos that we do. I also do BitLab Academy. We got our Discord group. I'm hosting spaces over there on the Mario Nafal channel. So I talk about all different aspects of this ecosystem. To say one is better than the other, no, they're all just different. Some suck, some are great. Everybody has their own opinions about which one's going to be the winner. Well, vote with your dollars. And for your sake, I cannot tell you what to do. I hope Bitcoin is a substantial portion of what your strategy is over time, or at least grows into it. So looking at these are all already eligible from the new SEC approval that's fast tracking crypto ETFs. All these are already eligible for spot ETFs. Cardano, Avalanche, Bitcoin Cash, Doge, Polkadot, HBAR, Link, Litecoin, Solana, XLM, XRP. So we're seeing the SEC has effectively relit the fire on this whole alt season narrative. My biggest issue with the alt season narrative is that everybody thinks every single thing, if they have an altcoin, everything's going to pump. And I think we're going to see some pretty good substantial price action in the altcoin space. But I do think we're going to see a slightly different shape in how this all plays. And I hope, again, as you see monster gains, if your asset starts to pump tremendously, I hope you have at least a portion of an exit strategy on that asset and to roll into longer term holdings into Bitcoin. Yeah. So let's go through a couple more things we got here. So this is also, remember, I shared this the other day. The other chart is signifying, based on what we saw last cycle, very short-term bottom, a medium sort of accumulation here with which was a massive chop, frustrating zone. Is there going to be an alt season? No, I guess not. Boom. That's what we got. We got the pop, another 20x on the others. Basically, this is the market cap of everything outside of the top 10. But then what do we see here? Much larger bottom here, much larger base. Now, look, this is basically the same two things, slightly different shape, but a lot more time on the bottom also signifies, makes sense, quite a bit more time here on the accumulation. And these accumulations have been brutal because everybody thought just because this is pushing up, that's the parabola. And you get people bought this FOMO right here, only to sell at these lows, only to buy the FOMO again, to sell again at these lows. And then everybody's exhausted in the altcoin space. I can tell you, if you put your focus into Bitcoin, you'll be a lot less exhausted. But it moves slower, but it's going to be a lot more consistent. And is it really that slow? It's outpacing every other asset in the world, right? Everything in the traditional market that's ever existed. So what we're seeing right now, I do believe, is a setup for those people that are in the altcoin space to start to see some monster gains transpire. I mean, think about what we're just seeing. We just saw the Digital Council or whatever, I forget what it was, another roundtable today with the U.S. government with XRP and Chainlink and Cardano. And I mean, all the people talking about market, Coinbase, Brian Armstrong talking about market structure and the rulings and all the different things to really open up the rest of the, because we already have like two of like 8. We have like 2 of the floodgates open. So there's like some water pouring out, and that water in this case is capital coming into the crypto ecosystem. But once we get everything else buttoned down in terms of regulation, legislation, and basically the full clarity for who's overseeing what you can, what you can't do, then you start seeing the big money pour in overwhelming droves. We're already seeing that in the Bitcoin ecosystem. But I really do think, remember, some of these very strong DePIN, decentralized infrastructure, physical infrastructure as well, but basically Ethereum, the Ethereum ecosystem, stablecoins, Chainlink, real world asset tokenization. You cannot ignore that. As good as Bitcoin is, and it is the penultimate apex of digital assets, you cannot ignore that there's also overwhelming upside possibilities and potential in the altcoin ecosystem. But my advice is, and this is general advice, is don't think that you're going to just catch up to some other guy you're seeing on crypto Twitter that's got 3 houses and 6 boats and living the jet set lifestyle. You're not going to catch up with him with an altcoin. Maybe 1 in 1 million of you are. But in order to identify the altcoin at the right spot, enter with the right amount, and be able to endure the move to the upside to exit at a top where you are making $3 million, $5 million, $10 million, $100 million is an astronomical anomaly. So one of the approaches I think all of us could benefit on that is keep Bitcoin in focus. Let's play in the trenches. Let's realize it's the trenches and figure out ways that you can utilize midterm timeframes and smaller timeframes to, one, trade effectively if you're trading and trying to find positions so you can find good entries, have a strategy to exit to rotate those profits into Bitcoin and some of it into your pocket So you're also not just living with screenshots of the how many coins and how valuable it was that one day when it pumped astronomically. So let's look at it because we're seeing the setup. We're seeing the setup here. The moon season setup is here. So what gives? Well, DeFi lending is now on Coinbase. This is one of the reasons everybody saw the Morpho chart is absolutely bloomed to the upside. And let me go ahead and pull up Morpho. Look, this is a great candle right here. But does that mean you're going to be rich because you got a 22% pump? Yeah, if you're already holding it, but not rich, that means you turned 22% profit. But there's still a lot of work to do here, especially with how young this particular asset is. Let's zoom out on this. Okay, this is looking pretty darn good. It's right now at the 382 of this full move. Okay, it's kind of fought outside of it, kind of coming back. We'd like to find some support here, but I think Morpho is going to be one of those boomers of this cycle. Drew from Blockchain Basement, Discover Crypto, he's been talking about this since 9 months ago, 10 months ago. He's almost a year ago. He's been probably talking about it since this candle here. He's been talking about it a long time, and it had the sell-off as the market had the struggle bus. The altcoin specifically had the struggle bus moment, but now working its way back up and getting that nod from Coinbase is pretty darn impactful. So I'd keep my eye on that. So what does it look like in terms of trades on the near term? The setup is there for the macro, but the macro profits are only able to be taken if you're able to endure the ride up. And that's the rise, retrace, continuations, and the accumulation periods that are, from now until those ultimate cycle tops. Because this feels good, but look, it went right into a known trend line that we had on the chart. Went right into this known trend line, this peak, came across this touch here. This is exactly where it went, kind of the midway point of this move. Does this mean this move is over? I don't think so. But you can expect, like everything, what did I just say? Rise, retrace, continuation, right? These are what ruin 99 point almost everybody in the market. So we got the rise. How do we outline what sort of retrace may transpire? Well, look at that. Just like we talked about on Bitcoin, inverse head and shoulder, set up the move. We kind of broke out of it here, found support, and then boom, launched. Cool. Volume came in mass too. Now let's look at the data aligning with it. So here, look at the let me do option T. Look at the lower lows right here. God dang it. The lower lows right here. Low, lower low. What do we see on the RSI? You started setting up bullish divergence already right there. Pretty steeply, getting higher and higher. And then right here, notice, what did the RSI do? It broke through the 50 line. Now the strength is in control. At the same time, this broke through the 50 line, the RSI, as you can see right here, the money flow also was ticking to the upside. Now, was that the signal? Well, on a near-term trade, remember, I'm talking about near-term, like things that are like over the course of, under a couple days. So like one day or less. On this 1 hour chart, you see this forming. So over a couple days, the setup was giving signal. This was, Sunday. This was Monday. This comes into Tuesday right here. So 3 days setup, right? Then you get the rejection. And on the breakdown, oh my God, it's breaking down. Let's cry about it because I thought I had the setup. No, we don't cry. We look at data. On the breakdown here, what do you see? Money came out very heavily, yet it maintained a higher low. To me, that was a signal right there. Bullishness is coming in. The bears tried to make an attempt. There's more strength there than the bears could actually bring to bear. The RSI did have a little bit of a dip below the 50 line, but then right here it goes back above 50. And then boom, you can see right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse. Kind of pumps up, dips right here, finds support. And the money flow is ticking up super sharp. Money flow ticking up super sharp. That would have been an entry for me. Regardless of any news, the setup was there. The signal was stacking in favor. And then you got the trigger right here. Boom, and you get the move. So then what can we do? Something very simple. Option F or Alt F if you're on PC. That is the Fibonacci. So now I'm going to do two things. We have the Fibonacci sort of general outline. This is not going to be exact levels. The general outline of potential areas that you can look for entries on the way down if you're expecting this to continue up, like the market's going to continue up. Now I'm also going to go left on the chart, and I'm not looking over here now. I'm looking where my mouse is, and I'm just going to move up to the highest point before this. Boom, right there. Option J. Alt J gives you that horizontal ray. And what do you notice? This previous high is perfectly in line with where this golden pocket is right here. So this tells me there's if the price action has, a little bit of a rise, retrace, let's scare some people continuation, this would be a pretty good opportunity zone for a near-term buy on this dip right there in the basically 220 to 222 sort of range. That's, it's a little bit of a dip from there. It's about a 5 or 6% dip from there. But that's if it comes down. But here's the deal with trading. Nobody wants to tell you. There's no guarantees. That's why you set up multiple levels and you say, okay, well, I'm going to ladder an entry on the 382, on the golden pocket, and on the 786. Or you can be very sure of your strategy because you've been doing it for so long and you've done so many different reps with different assets and different time frames, and you just know what you're doing. You could say, I'm only going to buy at this golden pocket if it comes to my target, and I'm not going to move my target. Do that. You might hit it, you might miss it. You might hit it and the price falls further. In that case, you have to ask yourself, do you have a stop loss? Are you position buying that so you're not on leverage, so it doesn't matter if it dips further, you'll just buy at the next target down as well to lower your average entry? These are all things you need to be paying attention to and not listening to me or Frankie Candles or Crypto Face, and you hear each one of us tell you a target or a different strategy, and you change your strategy every time you listen to a different person. Utilize the tools you're learning about. Try to figure out which one works for you and shape that. Stick to it. So, Morpho looking good, especially with the bullishness of Coinbase talking about, this next stage. DeFi lending is now on Coinbase. There's a new way to grow your bags. Lend your USDC and earn up to 10.8% currently. DeFi lending is rolling out on Coinbase, and Morpho is going to be a major portion of that. There's a lot of corporate money that's in that as well, and big money. So I think this is kind of a good fundamental base for bullishness into the future. So looking for opportunities to buy on that is bullish. And then what else we got? We've talked enough about the Fed rate. I can give you guys so much data on the rate cuts, but I want to talk about charts. I want to talk about signal right now. I don't know why all these are boom, boom, boom. Oh, right here. Yeah. This is that SEC approval, generic listing standards for community. Essentially, this is going to fast track things that have had futures for 6 months or more on, I think it's called like registered DCMs or something like that. Basically things like Coinbase, right? And when we look back at what some of those coins are, where is that at? Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, XRP, Cardano. And then we also had where is that? Did I exit out of it? Let me come back over to it. Discover. By the way, make sure you give me a follow right here at Kelly Kellum. And I'm dropping charts. I'm dropping alpha. I'm in spaces all over the place. Get involved. Make sure you're following the correct Kelly Kellum. Big love to you. Now let's get over here. Let's go to Discover Crypto. And that chart, I just wanted to highlight some of those tokens right here. So let's go through some of these tokens. Actually, let me copy this and put this over here just so I have the list. And I have most of them already queued up. I just want to make sure I hit as many of these as possible. And out of this list, I'm asking every one of you, if you're on YouTube, if you're on X, if you're on Pump Fund, wherever you're viewing this from, first off, thank you for being here. Some of you might love me, some of you might hate me, but let's work through all these things together. Let's try to find this edge. Let's try to find the alpha. Let's try to learn. Let's try to up our humility and realize you don't know everything. And there are some things I can teach you. If you've been in this market for a year, a week, or 10 years, guarantee you I could teach you some things. And I guarantee you I could learn some things from each and every one of you. So let's learn from each other. And I'm going to make sure that we can all grow together. I think retail is broke this cycle. A lot of the guys I work with bought last cycle and complained they don't have money to buy this cycle. Well, that's one of those sort of dubious things we're dealing with in the market right now is where's the money going to come from? And did the retail money ever really have that big of an impact in the crypto previously? Or is it all just market makers and a select few bit of people that are really turning profit. We'll see this cycle. That's for sure. Wow, Mammo is so cheap, says Brian Wild. I'm probably not in the majority on that. I'm fine. What'd you say? I'd take Avalanche, Cardano, Solana, and Sui, says Seth Shepard. Curious what you guys said. If you had to pick 3, what would they be? But let's get up. Let's look at some of the charts here. I want to look at some of the charts on some of these because, for instance, I don't think I've ever even, in the last 3 years at least, I don't think I've charted Bitcoin Cash. So that'll be interesting to look at. Starting first up, what do we got? Top of the list, where is Cardano? Cardonzo. All right, zooming out. Boom. What do we got? First off, this is where everybody wants to be, back up at $3. When it hits $3, I'm going to have so much money. Well, ignore that for right now. Let's look at the trend that we're in. This is that sort of, it's so exciting, it sucks. It's so exciting, it sucks. And it goes back to this chart. Where was it at? I think I just exited that one too. Yeah, whatever. That other chart that I was highlighting of the previous cycle, what it looked like with that accumulation and then the blast off. This is that, okay? This is how it looks on a single chart. So we can delete some of these old lines just so we can keep it clean for everybody. I don't chart Cardano. We'll keep that one. Delete that. Delete. Boom. All right. So we've got the falling channel, broke out, found support, very frustrating support, and then boomed up, new high, followed by a new low. Do you understand what I mean when I say that? Some of you don't. This is trending down in a pattern. These patterns, these falling channels tend to break bullish. It did, and much like I said the other day, and almost every day for the last 3 or 4 years on YouTube and also in the Discords and also all the places I'm at, is that although this signals a bullish move, a lot of times you get the bullish move and then you get a move that convinces you that that failed. In this case, this bearish move, and then it makes the move. It's exactly what happened. Bullish move trap, bearish move trap. Now we can move. So on the breakdown here, we have basically double bottom, right? But boom, on this break to the upside, we finally have a higher low, a higher high here from this point and from this point. Higher high followed by a higher low. Higher high, higher low. In this case right now, we have not completed this move so far. It's troubling if this breaks down because that would just be a rollover. But as it stands right now, it looks like they're really trying to frustrate the living crap out of people. But the price action is now, where is this chopping? Right in this bar that we've had on here for months. I mean, I would go so far as to say, let's see, that, yeah, I've had this on here probably since around back here. Yeah, December of last year. We have this liquidity interest zone based on where price action has found a lot of bounces and rejections. And here we are struggling to get out of it. That's the 3-day. What does it look like in the DGen zone? 4 hour and 1 hour. Well, 4 hour, 1 hour. Well, we talked about this, the move up, likely bounce, and then boom, we got it. Cool. It's awesome to see. It's crazy how some of these things play out sometimes. Let's delete that as well. There we go. Now, we are hovering right around that trend line on that rising channel. Now, do you see why I like to show you what the pattern is, and then we can zoom in so you're not going, what the heck is that line? Because this has just been chopping around it on the smaller time frame. But in this case, nice rounding, boom, move up. Comes back down, kind of a W pattern, kind of wampus, but cattywampus. But now we are moving higher, find support back on the trend line, and pushing back up. No, so what does the data look like? Data looks like money flow popped in. Great. RSI is back on the 4 hour. Back. Look at this. Look at where it was fighting. Do you guys see how regular this is? The RSI was fighting right at the 50 line. Got rejected right here. But then higher lows on both the RSI and the price action, and the money flow came in right here. This is exactly right where it flipped. And then look at the boom. The signals will give you the forecast of what's most likely to happen if you pay attention to the signals. Now, things are looking, the outlook's a lot more bullish. We got the Fed rate cuts. As I said yesterday, watch for the rate cut decision, the time between that and the press conference, and about an hour or two afterwards. I said all the way through about 4:30, you'd likely see some swings in both directions. People are trying to process not only the decision, but also the press conference tonality. And yes, that's okay. It's all boring nonsense. This is affecting the investor cash flow and risk on or risk off narrative in these assets that you're trading. So now that we got the rate cuts, telegraphed that we'll likely get a couple more rate cuts. But as I said, I'm watching into the end of this, in the next through like Thursday, Friday, for the dust to settle around everybody kind of debating what their move is going to be in this market following that. So we have the money flow up on the 4 hour. RSI is back up, but we're still low. It's not a bearish divergence because the price is low as well. We want to see, it looks to me, if I had to guess just looking at this chart, knowing nothing else, this looks to me like it wants to either bull flag here or have a little bit of a move back down to ensure the bulls are going to defend it. And then you get the move. But that's on the 4 hour. What does it look like on the 1 hour? Yeah, okay. So look, see this? Look, higher high. I saw it immediately. Higher high on the price. What do you see on the RSI? Does not agree. Bearish divergence. Does not agree. Money flow. Bearish divergence. That doesn't mean Cardano can't make the move right now, but it does mean you're seeing some weakness come in. So there are further signals. Like I showed, I couldn't even see these signals on the 4 hour chart, but I zoomed in a little deeper, a little better resolution, meaning I could see more candles over that time period. And this signals like we might see either a flag or a little bit of a move down here. And then at that point, you revisit what all the data looks like. So let's continue on. What else we got? Avalanche. Avalanche made a nice move. Some of those, the comms director or the head of comms for Solana is now over at Avalanche, moving over and some of the things that they're doing. But Avalanche is nothing to sneeze at, guys. I think this move right here is signaling a lot of things in a lot of different assets. And I broke this down. I don't remember if it was in the Discord or on the stream, but this pattern also looks the same as what we see here on Ondo, and Ondo hasn't yet made the move. You see this move, if I turn off all the lines, this move, kind of an inverse head and shoulders or triple bottom, or it's just rounded, right? Look at Ondo and look at Avalanche. Very similar shape. The boom, boom, boom. And then this is popped way up. Ondo has not yet done that. And Ondo, since they launched global markets, is already like, 2.5x their TVL, not TVL, but how much assets are getting utilized and traded on those global markets. They're doing some massive stuff over there. And this hasn't made the move. Avalanche has signaled there's appetite here in this market. And this money, this will move. And then you'll see a couple other popcorns effect throughout the ecosystem. So this should be a signal for you. So what does it look like? Here's Avalanche. We came through the zone that we highlighted. Watch the breakout zone. What did we do? Push up, bull flag, now moving up higher. And we showed this the other day. I think I did this on the live stream. This was the target, boom, coming up like this. We're almost all the way up there to the target. The target's up here at 38. However, we do have this previous line. It's kind of a range. I would actually draw this as a box. Let's do a box right here, coming across. Why like that? Because we have this rejecting at the top, this bouncing at the bottom, bouncing at the bottom, bouncing at the top, bouncing at the bottom, rejecting at the bottom. Kind of paints the region of price action of interest. Now let's zoom in. We're on the 12 hour. Let's get to the 4 hour. Look, we're in that region now. So for all intents and purposes, you've kind of tested the sort of target range of what this, tested the target range of that move. You're kind of already you're starting to enter the take profit zones for people that are trading, not for people that are taking positions to hold this, for weeks, months, stuff like that. Because there are a lot of position traders in the altcoin ecosystem, but there's also a lot of traders where they see, okay, profits, boom, out. And then you see the chop around and then the next big move up. In this case, we got the move up. That's on 4 hour. Let's get down to the 1 hour. Okay, money flow coming in strong. Cool. RSI. Look at this. The highs here much higher. What do we see below? What does the data say? RSI is kind of topped out. Little bearish divergence, but the money flow is not agreeing yet. So there may be either a little bit of consolidation here, or a little bit of a move down to about the 30, 31. 3150, 3140. Oops. Yeah. 3150, 3140 zone. I don't like the horizontal lines. I like the horizontal raise. Option J to do that very quickly. So you don't have to come to your toolbar. That's nonsense. Be a pro, man. Be a pro. That's the 1 hour. What does it look like on the 15-minute? Yeah, the money flow, a little bit of bearish divergence on the 15-minute. Yeah, I mean, I'd be a little concerned, not concerned. By concerned, I would just say, is it going to move higher right now? I'd be concerned with that. I think we are going to see a little bit of softening in the price action because of what we're seeing on Avalanche and Cardano. Bitcoin Cash. How many of you out there hold Bitcoin Cash? I'm curious about that. $200 Avalanche, Kelly? Pull the fib, says Seth Shepard. Let's look at that. 3 days. Double click. Pull my fib, he says. The shepherd asked me to pull his fib, and so trueth it shall be. I shall stake, boom, to there, pull it down, further up it shall go. Let's see, $200. That would be the 1.618, 232. If we do it on not log, let's see what that is. Yeah, about 232. Yeah. 232. My fib is probably on log though. I don't want to go and change that right now. But yeah, this is where I'd be watching. 61 is a key number for Avalanche. Key number on the way up. Why? Because this is where these lows are. This is where this rejected here. This is going to be probably the most important level on the way up. It's a key fib on the macro and a key area in which this previous rejected and bounced and this rejected. Now, in terms of the levels that we're on right now, and then we'll get over to Bitcoin Cash. Option F, go from the top. That move to the bottom right there. And we're kind of inching up towards that next level. And interestingly, look, let me go to the 8 hour. Interestingly, look at this little chop zone. See this chop zone? See this chop zone right here on Avalanche? Where is it at? What's that green line? It's that fib, the 382. I'm telling you, these are not absolute. They just give you very good areas of interest to watch for price action, for take profits, for all these, especially as it will correlate with other horizontal price levels. So the golden pocket up here is up at about $40, $39. The next level up is 46. That's the 786. But then again, getting back out there to the 3-day, that key level is going to be this 382 up here is very key in the next level. I mean, the golden pocket on this is 95. So before we talk about 200, let's talk about the levels and the moves you can make on the way up. Because if you're not making money in altcoins, what the hell are you doing in them? If you're just pouring your money in the ecosystem and losing on every trade you take, it's not the market that's screwing you over. It is you. And if you can't do that, put your money in Bitcoin and don't do anything. Just keep doing cash flow into Bitcoin. Now, if you want to learn, watch this channel, watch Discover Crypto, watch Drew, watch DZ and Tim and myself. Frankie Candle is another great resource. Tom Crown, Crypto Face. Everybody has a slightly different style and different motivations for like what they're doing in these markets. And that's okay. Figure out which ingredients work for you. But no matter what, figure out the fastest path that you can drive profits that you can store as long-term possible in Bitcoin. Need it for taxes, says Seth Shepard. Well, hey, you know what? Everybody's got, everybody has life things that come up. I can't believe Near's not in this list, 11 altcoins. But we looked at Avalanche. We're going to look at Bitcoin Cash, which I don't, what Bitcoin Cash is. I ain't trying to hate. All right, Bitcoin Cash. Man, look at that. Let me see. BCH. I want to see right here. This is better. There we go. I mean, just by nature of some of the corporate index, the ETFs are going to have altcoin indexes and such, where you're going to see capital flooding in to some of these. I mean, I won't call it. It's not like Bitcoin Cash is dead. I think Bitcoin Cash. I mean, it's a great protocol. Okay, I don't feel like it has a lot of mind share. There's not really a lot of activity on it. But if you ignore all the bias, which I'm showing my bias right now, let's cut the bias out. Let's look at just what the chart shows. What does it show on the 4-hour chart? Let's look at this. Okay, bull trend, great. We had a double bottom, W formation, and the move up. Cool. Now let's zoom out on that just a little bit and see. Oh, man, it's not really okay. There we go. Cup and handle. Very ugly cup and handle, but cup and handle is kind of double handle here. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't really want to take a measurement off this because this is so ugly, but we can do it just for, S and Gs. And that is, target would be up here, $5,000. See, I think that's ridiculous. So let's do it from here. Option F, boom, come like this. Let's delete this other fib. But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big sell-off from 736 down here to $90, $87, move back up. Didn't really follow any fib whatsoever, so that's kind of irrelevant. So you can draw a fib, but if there's no levels really respecting it, it's an ugly fib. So I'd just be cautious on this one. On the most near-term fib, I would just draw from here. And look at that. This pushed up, found support on the 786. Next targets up would be up in this region. But let's see, 1.618. I'm not saying this is a target, but let's see how these correspond with any previous price action, okay? 3-day charts, zooming out. Okay. I mean, this 1.618 is where this rejected these. Yeah, so that would kind of be a target zone I'd be watching. I'll move up into that. But I don't even want to look at Bitcoin Cash. Let's look at DOT because we have ignored DOT for a minute. I used to have quite a bit of DOT and trade in and out, and they're one of those silent things. On the other half of the world, you go to a crypto conference in Asia or in Indonesia or like any of that sector of the world, DOT is all over the place, man. You forget the bubble you're in. You're like, well, I don't ever hear about. Well, it's because you're different community. Am I on? Let me see something. Am I on? Okay, no, I'm on crypto. Why is it? Let's do here. Boom. So this looks like a strong base to me. 3-day chart. Boom. Look at that. 3-day chart. Also massive descending level of resistance. Look at this. Comes right into where we're at right now. And we're right in the middle of not only breaking out of it, but trying to test it for support. Look at that. This is beautiful. This actually looks great. This looks great. I'd be watching this zone right here. The zone is right the area that we're tackling right now. Let me move that up just a little bit. Capture this zone here. And I'd be really watching this. I think this can do some nice things. Got a lot of chop through here. Let's pull this over. Let's make this a little bit brighter. Oops. Make this a little bit brighter. Background. Here we go. There we go. You guys hear them working on the studio? Throw one in chat if you guys can hear them working on the studio. We're getting it done here, baby. But look at this. I mean, this is beautiful rounding bottom. There's no real signal right now on the on the money flow. Strength bounced on the 50 line back up. That's on the 8-hour. On the 4-hour, do we see anything? Oh, massive. Look at that. Boom. Nice pop on the money flow. RSI is getting a little concerning at the immediate moment because you see the price action moving up and we're a little bit lower. If this pushes up a little bit higher, the strength is weakening here. So much like we saw on Avalanche and Cardano, a little bit of weakness coming into the impulse that we just saw. It's okay if it doesn't follow through immediately. Let the setup develop. We have the W formation right here. Beautiful. Broke very bullishly, obviously. But we have it. This is a fairly inefficient move. It's just up, and now it's starting to lean over. The bulls are kind of waning here. So we need another positive jolt in the market that's just going to give you that cash incentive to push things up. Or you don't count on what that's going to be, and you look at the chart and you say, okay, this is either going to consolidate here for a little bit, or it's going to have a little bit of a move down. So you see how I have crosshairs on my chart? The reason I do that, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Right click on the chart, come down here to settings, go over here to canvas, come over here to crosshair, and you can make it whatever color you want and as bright as you want. You see how bright that is? It's too bright for me. I try to make it just bright enough for you guys to be able to see it. But I do that because I can move my mouse and I look left on the chart to see where this horizontal line is bouncing on a previous top. So right there. So it's very easy to see. Option J. So that's kind of essentially, that's where I'd be looking for a potential move down. But we need that to correspond with something else to have more confidence. So let's pull up a fib. Okay, so there's a 382, a little bit above that. Golden pocket's way down here. And look where the golden pocket is, perfectly in line with where the top of this W neckline is, which is this right here. So these are the two levels I'd be watching. I'd be watching this pocket right here around the 382 because we do have this line there, and then the golden pocket zone right down here about 428. But I think if that were to come down and do that, I think this would be set up for higher. The ultimate would for this, to bull flag and then move. But what do we see on the 1 hour? RSI rounding out, money flow from here to here, much higher price action. Money flow is flat. See that? Here to here, flat. So we're getting a little bit of weakness right there. Not the end of the world. It means you get the bulls to show where they're coming in, show you how bullish they are. They're coming in up here. They're coming in down the golden pocket. And then you catch that move. Let's do two more, and then I gotta run because my dog is probably chewing on weights. By the way, did you guys see that? Did you guys see that? My dog, no lie, I looked over. I was like, what the heck does my dog have in her mouth? And that's not what I want to look at. Here we go. My dog picked up a 10-pound weight. 10-pound weight. And look at this. That's just absolutely ridiculous. So that's who I have to get home to because she's been, I've been here doing content all day. She's at home, but let's look at Link and we'll do XLM. We looked at Ondo already. Yeah. So, okay, that's good. So Chainlink, okay, 5-year breakout, boom, great. Not quite ready, but in process of not being quite ready, we're kind of forming this very broken up, but kind of inverse head and shoulders-y structure. Breakdown, pump back up. Deep breakdown, pump back up. Kind of building a little bit of thing. But let's ignore that and just look at this structure right here. Okay. We have a move up, breakdown. So this was kind of the base trying for the breakout. So this was the breakout. New higher high, new higher low, new higher high into a bull flag. New higher low, right? Right now we're in that are we about to go ballistic zone right here? And I do think it's heating up. RSI is looking strong. This is on the 3-day chart. So what does it look like on the 4-hour? Money flow coming in strong, defending that. Oh, let's wash people out. Let's get rid of the tourists and then let's make the move. And so now it's starting to make the move. The question is going to be, is this the move? Meaning, is this the one that's going to, break beyond this? Because look, we pushed up. We came down to retest. In order for this to be an actual breakout, you want the breakout, the retest, and you want to eclipse this previous range high right here on this most recent range. So what we're seeing right now is a setup for something that has not yet happened. But if you're very bullish on this and you're looking at all the integrations and the fees are coming due, they're turning on their fee. There's so much that's going on in the Chainlink ecosystem. RSI back above the 50 line, cool. Money flow turning very positive. And yet right now, you're in that confounding zone where you're right at the golden pocket. You see that? 618, boom, right at it. So what we want to see right now, maybe you're already in a trade, maybe you're not. I like to see this break above this golden pocket, which is basically right where it's at now. Break a little bit above, see a little bit of a retrace or sideways consolidation, some sort of bullish divergence in the signal for higher. But guys, man, I could not be more bullish about what is about to take place in this market. And if it doesn't, then my spirit is broken. And then I remember I have more time to stack. Beautiful. Look at this. Talked about this the other day. XLM. Kind of, I don't want to say a proxy. It's not a proxy, but similar to like when you look at XRP, this is kind of a little bit more ugly. Inverse head and shoulders. Got the breakout, failed. But on XLM, this is, inverse head and shoulders. We're seeing them all over the place. Neckline. We're coming right at it right now. Money flow came positive. RSI is getting weak, like everything. Although this midterm, multi-day into a week or two setup, very bullish. I do think there's a little bit of softness here. It's not going to happen this moment. I do think there's probably going to be a little bit of and then you get the move. So patience right now. The setup is here. Keep your focus on Bitcoin. Play in the trenches at your own risk. I know we're all degens. But do not sacrifice your life savings or your rent money or your ability to secure your future by trying to make it rich in meme coins and altcoins. Get your focus on Bitcoin and find what different sectors of the altcoin market and what memes really tickle you. It's something that you're like, I'll throw $100 of this, $1,000, whatever is a small allocation for you as it relates in comparative to your long-term holdings. Play around in the market, but do not sacrifice your future along the way. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I can't see. I'm on 3 or 4 different. I'm on 3 or 4 different. So we're on Discover Crypto X, Kelly Kellum X, Pump Fund, Discover Crypto YouTube, BitLab Academy YouTube. So I can't see if there are any super chats. Let me scroll back really quick. I just want to make sure if somebody did super chat, I shout you out, show you some love. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. Joey Crypto, how you doing? We got so many people in here. Big love to each and every one of you. 3,123 people in the room. Make sure you are, again, giving me a follow. Make sure you're following Discover Crypto, which is right here at Discover Crypto _. Make sure you do the right one, Discover Crypto _. And then, of course, you can follow me. He retweeted me earlier today. It's somewhere here. This right here. Make sure you follow me right here at Kelly Kellum. Show some love. I'm on the wrong page. I have too many darn screens, guys. I have too many screens. Make sure you're probably wondering, like, what are you looking at? I have too many screens. Make sure you follow me right here at Kelly Kellum. And then, of course, make sure you are following the Discover Crypto at Discover Crypto. Make sure you do the _. Big love to you all. I love you. I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic, wonderful day. Root your day in gratitude. Root your day in forgiveness of yourself, of your friends, of your family. Let's move forward in a positive path. Let's grow together. Let's make it happen. That's all I got. Adios, muchachos.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.